How's it going, everyone? My name is Curtis and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to improve your aim with World War II weapons in Pavlov VR. But I'm not just going to tell you just grab a Tommy gun and spray out a wall with like 4-round bursts and control the recoil. No. That's not the main point of this video. Main point here is to learn and teach you how to properly aim down the iron sights of World War II weapons, because I have not seen a video on YouTube that specifically tells you or shows you how to properly aim down the sights of weapons, specifically World War II weapons. Now, you may have seen a bunch of YouTube videos out there that tell you tips on firing and stuff like that, like you can do burst fire, single fire shots to increase your accuracy. They are correct with that. However, they don't seem to tell you how to properly aim down the sights of a weapon. And those tips are not going to be as useful if you don't know how to properly line up your iron sights to begin with. Sure, for modern Pavlov weapons, you got red dot sights and stuff like that, which obviously helps a whole lot when it comes to aiming. But World War II weapons don't have that unless you're a sniper in a game mode like I'm doing here, where there is a sniper option. But other than the sniper, every other weapon is iron sights, and I have not seen a video that specifically states how to properly aim down the iron sights of one. So, for this video, I'm going to do just that. I'm going to show you how to aim down the iron sights of World War II weapons. More specifically, it's going to be US and British weapons, so stuff like the WWll, the M1 Garand, the Thompson, the Springfield, the Lee Enfield, stuff like that. Do keep in mind, I will be doing Soviet and Axis weapons on 2 separate videos in the near future. I do hope you guys find this video helpful so that you can have a much more pleasant and enjoyable experience when it comes to the World War II weapons and World War II game mode, stuff like that. Let's get right into it. The first one that I'll be starting for this video is going to be the 1911. It's a really popular and really iconic weapon from World War II, but the issue that people tend to have with it is, well, aiming, and you're probably thinking why. Well, it has to do with bullet drop. You see, the 1911 shoots a 45 ACP round, and regular pistols like the Luger shoot a 9mm, which travel faster. And because of this bullet drop, it's best for you to compensate for it. So usually people aim the sights on the 1911 like this, which theoretically it is correct. But remember, there's bullet drop here too. To compensate for it, it's best if you aim it like this. So at the bottom of the front post, make sure that it lines up with the top of the front ones, so that way you can get the best hit on your target. This will be good if you're trying to engage your target no more than 50 meters. And for reference, I'm currently standing 41 meters, I'd say, from where I am to that wall right there. I can tell because that wall that I'm shooting at, if you look next to it, there is another wall with the distance on it from where I shot. I'm pretty sure many people already know this statement, but pistols are not meant for long range engagements. They're used more of a backup, so if something happens to your primary or do not have enough time to reload, you can just pull out your pistol and take the enemy down. And the reason I'm saying this is because I see an awful lot of people using pistols. I mean, it's up to you totally, but the one issue is that I see people struggling with pistols when they're playing in competitive game modes. That it's not good for long range engagement. Stick with a primary like an assault rifle or something. It's better than a pistol, trust me. Next up, we got the WWll Mark VI, which is a revolver we used in World War II. I believe it was a British revolver, actually. For this one, it's actually rather powerful. Actually, it does 45 damage, which is rather good. This one is a lot more easier to aim since it's a lot more of a powerful round, so it will be traveling faster, therefore way less bullet drop than the 1911. But as you can see, there is quite a lot of recoil, so don't spam this because you will just lose control of the recoil. To properly line up the sights on the WWll Mark VI, make sure that the front post is lined up with the 2 back ones as demonstrated here for your best shot possible. If you are going to be shooting at longer ranges, make sure that the front post is a bit higher so you can compensate for that little bit of bullet drop that it does have. Don't forget though that the WWll Mark VI has a ridiculous amount of recoil per shot, so take your time with it. Unless the enemy is like 2 feet in front of you, go right ahead and just trigger finger it. But it's gonna kick back like a lot, so do keep that in mind. Next weapon that we have here is a really popular submachine gun from World War II, and that is the Tommy gun. This is also chambered in 45 ACP, just like the 1911, so it has the exact same amount of bullet drop and the exact same damage, so you gotta compensate for it. The way you're supposed to aim down the sights on a Tommy gun should be like this, but due to the bullet drop, we need to compensate for it, so it's best if you aim it like this. Make sure the front post is a bit higher from these two edges here from the bolt, and you'll be able to get your shots a lot better this way. As you can see here, the bullets are going to where this front post is, making my shots a lot more accurate. Do keep in mind that when you're firing the Tommy gun in fully automatic, it has a lot of recoil, to be honest. The Tommy gun is meant for close to medium range combat, so don't think you're gonna get a sniper from 200 yards away. Do keep in mind, however, that this is really good for indoor and overall close range combat, so if it's close quarter combat that you're dealing with, the Tommy gun will be perfect for this. But do remember, it does have a lot of recoil when it's fully automatic, so either do one shot or burst fire to control it. The Sten Mark II is a British World War II submachine gun used during, well, the World War II, and it's actually rather simple to aim down sight with this thing. It's chambered in 9mm, meaning it does not have as much bullet drop as the Tommy gun and the 1911, so it's rather good in terms of accuracy and range. But still, it should be noted that this is also meant for close to medium range combat, just like the Tommy gun. To aim down the sight of a Sten Mark II is pretty straightforward. The tip of the triangle on the front post has to be in the middle of the circle. Because this submachine gun is a 9mm and not a 45 ACP, it does have less bullet drop, meaning it could go a bit longer. But again, like I said before, it's meant for close to medium range combat, and just like the Tommy gun, it has a crazy amount of recoil when you fire it fully automatic. The Sten Mark II only does 20 damage per shot, so you need to get several bullets onto your enemy before you can actually kill them. Next up, we got the Browning Automatic Rifle, or BAR for short. This is a rather interesting machine gun because it has two fire modes. One is fast firing and the other one's a slow fire rate. And people have actually identified this as a laser gun because of its insane amount of accuracy. But even then, it's really important for you to be able to know how to aim this properly. When people first start using the BAR, it's rather simple because of that slow firing mode that it has, but they can't seem to get their shots. To correctly aim the BAR, on the front post there is a triangle. Make sure that the bottom of that triangle is lined up with the two back posts like this, to be able to get your shots more accurately. The BAR is pretty good at medium to longer range assaults, and it's actually rather better at longer ranges due to this slow firing range mode that it has. It will work fine for closer ranges, but it's clearly not meant for that. If it has a slower firing rate, it's clearly for longer ranges and for accuracy. But the problem with the BAR is that for some reason it has the exact same damage as the 1911. For every bullet, it does 20 damage. That's the exact same as the 1911. So basically the BAR is a overpowered 1911 in Pavlov. It's stupid. I don't know why they did this. It will be more reasonable if they had 30 or 40 damage, but 20? Come on. A bit of pain to get a bit of gain. I suppose that you lose damage in return for good accuracy in this case. The Springfield is an American World War II bolt action rifle, and bolt actions are by far rather good in Pavlov, but they're definitely hard to master. And the reason it's hard to master is because of the iron sights, and the Springfield by far has the most tiniest iron sights out of all the bolt actions I've seen in this game. I do feel like many people actually give the bolt actions a pretty bad rep, mainly because of how hard it is to aim them, and I even struggle to aim them sometimes. But if you're good with this, you are gonna be getting a lot of kills in the game, honestly, because it's 50 damage per shot. And if your enemy has less than 50 health, it's one shot and they're done. Many people, myself included, I assume will try to aim the Springfield like this, which will not work and is way too precise. Instead, the way you should aim it in Pavlov is like this. Make sure that the middle stick on the front post, the bottom of that, is in between the opening of the two closest posts to you, which is marked in red. The bullet will go towards the top of the post. Every bolt action in Pavlov is meant for medium to long range combat, and it's not really ideal for close range, and it's pretty obvious why, because it's a bolt action. Every bolt action in the game does 50 damage, so it's 2 hits to the body and then the enemy will be down, and headshots are instant kills in game. The Enfield is a British World War II bolt action rifle and is by far the most unique due to some of its main features, like having 10 rounds instead of 5 like every other bolt action, excluding the modern bolt action sniper rifle. This is also supposed to be a magazine fed bolt action, but that was never implemented into Pavlov, but I don't know why they didn't implement it. It would be kind of cool, but I think it would have been a bit overpowered for a bolt action in the game. To aim the Enfield is pretty much similar to the Sten Mark II that I went over earlier. Make sure that the front of the top post is center in the circle of the back post. Now if someone is close to you and you have a Lee Enfield in your hands and they're about to kill you or something in the game, you could do this to basically get them. It's definitely tricky to do this, but if they're really close, I could do this and in 2 shots they're automatically dead. The very, very popular M1 Garand. Pretty known for its very unique... It's an American World War II semi-automatic battle rifle. You should know this. Come on, it's an M1 Garand. Who does not know about the M1 Garand? The M1 Garand, along with the other semi-automatic battle rifles, do 35 damage a shot. So 3 of them to get an enemy down. Make sure that the top of the front post is in the middle of the circle. The M1 Garand can be pretty good for close to medium range combat, and it can be a bit more difficult at longer ranges, but it definitely is possible to get targets from over 100 meters away. Just make sure that the enemy doesn't hear that ping, because they'll know that your clip is out. The BREN is a World War II British machine gun, and I think it's by far rather unique due to its design. It has a magazine on top, and instead of having the sights on the top of the gun, it's actually mounted on the side. The sights on this machine gun are very similar to the one of the M1 Garand. To properly aim the BREN, make sure that the top of the front post is in the center of the circle. The BREN can be pretty good at short to medium range combat, and it can also be a bit hard to get targets at longer distances, but it's definitely possible. The BREN is definitely a bit more difficult to control in terms of recoil, so it's best if you do short bursts or single shots at longer distances, and if the enemy is like really close to you, you can just spread them down and it'll work well. The Bazooka is a very popular and well-known shoulder-type rocket launcher that was used by the United States during World War II. Its main purpose was to attack tanks and fortify positions at close ranges. Also, have you noticed that this bazooka in Pavlov has 3 separate posts for you to line up and aim your target, kind of like a grenade launcher? Well, here's why there's 3 of them. The top one is for 100 yards, the middle one is for 200, and the bottom one is for 300. The problem with the bottom one is that for some reason your hand blocks it, so it's really hard to like aim. Actually, you can't aim at all because your hand's blocking it. To correctly aim the bazooka is pretty straightforward. Make sure that the top of the front post is in the center of the circle, just like with some other guns that I've stated before. Now, people don't usually bother aiming down the sights of these rocket launchers, mainly because they have an unlimited amount and they just keep reloading it and just keep firing away. But the problem is that some game modes you only have up to 5 rockets every time you spawn in as like an anti-tank. So it's really important to make sure that every shot that you get on a tank hits. Because if you miss one, it could be the difference between your team winning or your team just losing. And it can get frustrating. And here's a quick tip. You ran out of rockets, so you don't need that anymore. Just grab out your grenade, pull the thing, and then just throw it at the tank. Believe it or not, grenades do quite a lot of damage to the tank, so it'll work well. As you can see here, the tank is now disabled and it's on fire. So if you did actually run out of rockets, or you're just a regular rifleman or a medic, throw a grenade at the tank and it'll actually destroy it. Just like that. And that is it for the American and British weapons. We'll be doing the German and Russian weapons, aka Axis, and Soviet weapons in the near future. I hope this video helps you correctly aim down the sights of Allied weapons, aka American and British weapons, and so you can have a lot more fun out in the battlefield. Also, before I forget, the map that I used to record majority of this video was on Kenneth's test map. I'll leave a link down to in the description below so you can test out all the weapons, all the tanks, and all the nice stuff they have there so you can improve your aim and accuracy in Pavlov. Other than that, guys, I hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one.